welcome to our discussion series, Road to Recovery. We are going to be talking everything co-working with industry experts from all over the world. And today we're actually checking in with Canada. And I have with me today Charlotte Kirby. She is the founder of the Village Hive in Markham, Ontario, Canada. And those of you who are not familiar with Ontario, it's a city just east of Toronto. And Charlotte and I have been speaking virtually for some time now. So I am pretty filled in on her community and what she's been doing in Markham. She's built a really great community there and has been one of the more successful spaces outside of Toronto, and was actually ramping up for some expansion. And everybody's been begging for her expertise to be spread across Ontario. So I'm really happy to have you here, Charlotte. And yeah, I guess we can get right into it, and you can maybe let me know a little bit about what you guys have been going through and how things are looking in Ontario, Canada right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is all just so surreal right now. And we're just dealing with things on a day-to-day basis as everyone else is right now. And in Canada, we've been ordered by our Prime Minister to stay at home. And by the province of Ontario, I guess just 2 days ago, our Premier announced that non-essential businesses have been ordered to be closed. So what that means is only grocery stores are to remain open, pharmacies, telecom, power generation, of course, IT, and businesses like that. What it means for co-working is obviously we're a non-essential business, so most co-working spaces have closed down for their members. And I was in a couple days ago as the day of the announcement, and a few of my members were in to get their mail, water their money tree, and pick up some things that they may need to use to work from home. That being said, one part of the essential business of co-working, even though we're not, considered a non-essential business, is that I still collect people's mail. A lot of our members choose not to have, if they're an entrepreneur, choose not to have their address as their home address. So they will collect their mail here. And I picked up mail today, and there's some checks that I'm sure some people are waiting for. So I am coming into the space, only me, and getting that mail and just kind of figuring out the logistics as to how I'm going to get that to them. And I think right now, Canada, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, according to the numbers, we have, I think, about 3,500 cases that have been of COVID, compared to, close to 500,000 worldwide. What do those numbers mean? I don't know. And nobody really knows, because there's so many cases out there that are unknown right now. And so the great thing is our Prime Minister, our premiers have been putting together emergency aid for businesses, and that includes entrepreneurs, that includes self-employed people. So, it's comforting to know that, but at the same time, when will that money come in? How much money will that be? So we're all kind of just kind of waiting day to day to see what happens. I ran into chief of emergency medicine, a friend of mine at our local hospital, and they're this in the same boat. They're running day to day. He seemed quite calm, and because he doesn't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But our local community seems to be in a pretty good shape right now. But we'll see.
Yeah, of course. I'm talking to you from Berlin, Germany. So we are a little bit ahead of you. So you can kind of look to people, of course, people in Asia, people in Europe, to see where you might be at this time. I know we were at about 3,000 cases last week, and now we're up to just under 50,000 today. Again, what does that mean for us? It's hard to know, but at least you have like a point of measure of what your community could look like at that time. So maybe you could actually shed a little light on that, of like how things were before you guys actually went into like a partial lockdown or non-essential businesses. So were you guys preparing for this? What kind of precautions were you taking in your community? Or was it something that just kind of happened overnight that you weren't prepared for, didn't think would actually happen to you guys?
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like it was, we didn't know this was going to happen. It came as quite a surprise. I mean, we had heard, I guess, not completely a surprise. We were taking preventative measures as we heard about COVID, and as you do with, you should do anyway in a workspace, is to, we put up signs just saying wash your hands. We had hand sanitizer everywhere. We were Lysoling things. We were wiping down our desks and chairs and letting people know that we were doing that. So I guess we did prepare a little bit for that. Wasn't really prepared for, oh my gosh, we have to shut down. So that was a bit of a shock. I mean, I was planning on going to Florida last week for March break. And, I had Monica, who's one of my staff that works here. She was taking the precautions of just wiping down, and people were asking us, what are you doing? And we have a health and safety board. So we had put up more notices just about keeping the workspace healthy and not coming to the space if you're sick. But it went from that to, oh my goodness, we've got to close. Nobody can come in. So it did happen really quickly.
Okay, so that's interesting then. So since you made that overnight shift, what have you guys been doing to keep your community engaged and kind of maintain that support and the connection? Like I know you had mentioned we changed the time of this interview because you had a meeting with your community. I think this is your first time doing it virtually today. Something that you do weekly and a way to keep people engaged. So maybe you can tell us what that looks like, or how the community is also reacting to what your new implementations are.
Yeah, so we started 3 days ago a morning coffee chat. So it's a Zoom meeting at 9:30. It's supposed to be 15 minutes, but it always lasts longer. Started off with just a few of us. Today, I think we had 6 or 7 people join. So every day, more and more people are joining, and it's just a way to check in and see each other, have a coffee together. And it's funny, we get to meet each other's kids and dogs most of the time, which is great. And then just talk about, what are we doing for the day, or what are your fears? What have you heard? I don't know, it's a really feel good thing. And people are actually, because they're on Zoom, and we have videos on, people are getting dressed in the morning and, doing their hair. And not sitting there in their pajamas, although we wouldn't mind if you did. But it gives an excuse to kind of start your morning off with seeing people, which is, what coworking is all about. Coworking is about bringing people together face to face. And if we can't do that physically, then we can do it on Zoom. And so it's been great. Today we have our networking lunch from 12:30 to 1:30. So we've done that since the day I opened in 2016. We have a networking lunch every Thursday. And usually from 12 till 1. We've changed it just because our prime minister usually has a talk from 11 till noon. So knowing that some people may want to listen to that. So we're excited to start that up again today. We have a Slack channel. So, I always think that I don't ever want to inundate people with too much communication, but I think right now people are looking for that. So we have a Facebook members group where we're keeping in touch. Our Slack channel, we have our Slack community. We have a number of different channels. So business resources, remote work party, where I post the Zoom calls that we're having. We have a Hive skills channel, so that if anybody is looking for assistance with any business matters, they can ask other people, like if they need some help with social media or with their website, or just some business questions we can share on that channel. We even have a recipe channel, so people are sharing healthy recipes. We have a free resources channel, so people are sharing information for parents, because we're all getting so many different emails, and we have Facebook on and Instagram and Twitter, and we're getting inundated with all this great information. And I know I myself have a very, very scattered sometimes. That's the entrepreneur and the creative side of me. And so we're trying to organize all of these categories for people in our Slack channel so that you can have a list of resources and go back to that. And lots of people are chatting with each other and just checking in every day saying, hey guys, how's it going? So we've really, and people that never met face to face at the Hive are now connecting via Slack or Facebook. So it's been really great that way. And, regular communication is really important. So I'm letting my members know exactly what's happening here, and hoping to keep them engaged online so they'll see the value of their membership, beyond coming in and using the space to work or run workshops or meetings or meet
Mm-hmm.
clients. And hopefully when all this is over, we'll still be a strong community.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great segue into my next question then. So, of course, the world will be very different after this, and co-working, I think, will be very different after this. So, what do you see, like at this point? I know it's quite early in the times in Canada right now and in Ontario to be able to tell, but what do you think will actually stick from this experience? Things that are kind of developing, like you're saying, your channels and whatnot are engaged a little bit more. Your people who have never spoke are engaged a little bit more. Do you think this is going to change co-working in the future? And if so, like, how do you see it kind of ending up when this is all over?
Yeah, I think if anything, all this online communication that we've had, virtual communication, will continue, and that's great. There's because we've built so many relationships, and I think people will be eager to meet each other face to face
Mm,
after this is all said and done. And I really believe that. And I hear this from industry leaders in co-working. I hear this even from my members. Everybody's reassuring each other, and me, that this will, strangely enough, probably make co-working stronger, probably make our community stronger. We're a really strong community and very close already, but to share more personal situations
mhm.
right now, I think is, versus just, running things by each other for our businesses, or, on the more formal side. I think this is really building more personal relationships and friendships that will continue beyond this situation that we're in right now. And I think, um, in the grand scheme of things, people are figuring out that they can work remotely. Um, and so, but also seeing that loneliness can be something that is hard when you're working remotely. So
Mhm.
people will be seeking out co-working spaces that may never have considered them before. Members will come back to their co-working spaces because they will crave that face-to-face interaction. I mean, it's great to connect remotely, but how much longer can we sit in front of our computers and
Mhm.
just talk to people? That face-to-face interaction and sporadic sort of communication is, I think, what people are going to crave. And I think even the larger workforce, may look at, because they see that people can work remotely, maybe look into a more distributed workforce, and allow their employees to work at co-working spaces.
Mhm.
And co-working spaces will also be a place where distributed workforce um, can come for meetings, even if it's once a month, to get together, even if they are working from home. So it may not be that they're coming into a co-working space every day, but they may use it as a once a month place to meet face to face. So I think that the outlook is positive for co-working. I hope if we can get through this time,
Mhm.
um, if our landlords can work with us. I mean, the overhead in co-working is quite high. So if we have our landlord's cooperation to help us maybe have some rent relief, then we can make it through. If not, I mean, there's no way. I think a lot of spaces will be able to continue paying rent and stay open. But
Yeah.
especially when we don't know how long it's going to last.
Exactly. Like I actually have seen some spaces, ones that I've visited personally as well, that have already closed. Like this was enough to kind of put them over the edge, because there is already a lot of overhead, like you said, in co-working, especially if you're an independent and you don't have investments and you're not one of the
Yeah,
heavy players in the industry. You know, it is like a month to month kind of business until you really do
absolutely.
solidify yourself. So unfortunately, I have seen some of our partners have to close their doors in the earlier, you know, lockdowns and things like that. But that's not to say that they won't be able to come back at some point if that is their goal or something that they want for their future. Um, but I do think that if we can weather the storm, there is going to be like a very big change in co-working
Yeah,
for the positive. And like you had mentioned before, you know, you're seeing like people's dogs or children on camera, and there's like a very large human element to what is happening right now. And I think that affects people, that affects employers and how they're viewing their staff, and people are human. We try to be so professional all the time. And I
I
think
know.
even in co-working, when I go to a co-working space, I'm quite professional and I'm there to do my job. But our whole entire company was forced to go remote as well during this time. And I can only say that we've gotten closer in that. I've learned so
I'm
much
sure.
about, yeah, about my colleagues and you know, what their day to day is like, and things about them that I would never have normally asked because of the professional confounds of a working
Absolutely.
relationship, right? So I think the human element is super interesting, and that this could actually build trust for companies with their employees when they see the response and how they
Yeah.
handled the remote work, and that
Hmm.
might, you know, kind of be directed back into co-working. So
Yeah, I
that
think
is the
so too.
hope. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
the hope. So I guess maybe if you want, like, do you have any like really cool stories or something interesting that's happened during this time that really surprised you that you want to share, or of course any advice that you want to give to kind of summarize? Yeah.
Yeah. So the co-working community, including you
Mhm.
at Flex, is incredible. And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, the leaders in the industry, I just can't believe how quickly they were to come and help and share resources. A lot of my colleagues in the co-working industry in the States, Alex Hillman, Liz Elam from Juicy, um, Kat Johnson, the Women Who Co-work community. There's been so many people that just right away came in and helped and shared resources. When I, as a co-working owner and supposed to be a leader as well, was going through this anxiety and stress and wanted to be a leader, but really needed that support to say, hey, you
Mhm.
can do this. And they've been doing that. And so many people have been so supportive through this, and I couldn't really, honestly, I don't think, make it through without all of these connections with other co-working owners and leaders. And we've been really sharing so much and helping each other. So while that doesn't surprise me that these people did even step up more than they already have, I just can't believe the speed of which people were so ready to, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like a hospital, they're prepared for emergencies. Like they're right ready. They've learned how to deal with pandemics or epidemics. And but the co-working industry, we didn't think this would ever happen, yet people were ready and stepped in. And wow, that's been
Mhm.
such a help for me. And even just having this conversation with you today is so helpful, and knowing that you're going to be talking to other people around the world. And I think the biggest thing for me is just keeping in touch with the community, and even people, if you're a co-working space and you're an owner and your members say they can't pay anymore, that's understandable, but keep them part of your virtual community. They'll come back. I'm sure they will, because some people do have family and kids at home, so they're around other people, but there's so many people out there that are working from home alone.
Mhm.
They may not have kids or a spouse or a partner or anybody there. And if they're an entrepreneur, they may say, I just can't afford to keep paying my co-working membership if I don't know if I have money coming into my business. But keep in touch with those people and make sure they're okay. And I think if we all support each other, we'll all come get through this together. And people feel better when you're helping other people. And it makes you feel good, just like when you're volunteering. And if we can continue to support each other, we'll get through this and just figure it out day by day, and
Yeah.
not worry about how long
No, I can't
it may
agree
last.
with you more. That's amazing advice. And like keeping tabs on your community, of course, like people are going to be going through financial difficulty, and a
Yeah.
lot more people than you would expect will be going through financial difficulty. So again, excluding them from your community based on that is, I would say, a definite no, because people will return.
Yes.
And also they need you. Like somebody, like there are people out there that, like you said, they do need you in this time, and that's why you're probably seeing a very big uptick in your virtual engagement and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess on behalf of the co-working community too, thanks so much for what you're doing for your community.
Thank you.
And like again, stay strong. You will get through this. It's going to
Mm.
happen. And things are going to be okay, and you're going to be able to go on with the plans that you were making before all of this happened. Maybe there will be a delay in that, but everything happens for a reason, I do believe.
Yeah.
And with that being said, like, we want to continue to follow you in your journey. And so we'll check in with you too, and check in with us. And thanks so much, Charlotte, for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Erin. And I can't wait to meet you face to face one day.
Yeah,
I've got
one
this sign
day.
right beside me. Meet me at the Village Hive.
That's
The irony
awesome.
of it all.
That's awesome. No, it's great. And yeah, again, when I'm back in Canada, when I'm allowed to fly again, you'll be one of the first stops I make.
Awesome.
So very good. Thanks a lot,
Okay,
Charlotte. Bye,
bye.
you too. Bye-bye.